Sir, platoon, I'm Cadet Jones.
I'm Cadet Dickerson.
These are unclassified informational brief concerning the platoon ambush we're aiming to conduct in the vicinity of Charlie Foxtrot 894257 along the North Caribbean enemy squad moving north along the road following the 89th Easton. This new ambush was handed down from our company commander, and we're aiming to disrupt and destroy this force in order to keep them from interfering with our company's decisive operation in the future. We prepared a primary and alternate route plan for the operation itself, moving from our patrol base to the ORP, and I'll be presenting the primary route plan.
I will be briefing the alternate route.
Beginning with our primary route plan in the bolded line shown here to the ORP as the black circle right there. We're going to move around 2.94 kilometers. At generous estimate, it should take us around 3.5 hours to 4 hours to make a change in elevation and movement through restricted dense vegetation for our platoon. Overall, we should be within good cover and concealment because of that dense vegetation. This also limits our observation in fields of fire to around 200 meters. It's key to follow this plan to keep track of the terrain changing as we go along in order to prevent any observation contact from the enemy. Moving from our start point at the 6-hill patrol base, after we're all counted out, we'll be moving 320 meters as a descent down to this vegetation, or around 75 meters before our LDA crossing area. This will be at a grid azimuth of 79 degrees. The GM angle for this map is around 7 degrees, so keep that in mind for your conversions. We don't anticipate to come across any key terrain or obstacles in place by the enemy along this route so far. Moving from checkpoint 1 to checkpoint 2, we're moving 630 meters at a grid azimuth of 63 degrees under the same terrain conditions. Key to understand here is the change in elevation, and we're going higher in elevation, so we need to pay attention to moving along the military crest while maintaining our azimuth here to avoid skylining and becoming more visible than we actually are, even though we're covered in this dense vegetation. We're moving the same order of movement into the formation as before. We're still traveling, and the contact is still unlikely. From checkpoint 2 to checkpoint 3, it's key to understand that while on the map this appears to be covered in the same dense vegetation that covers the rest of the area, this is actually entirely cleared out. So it's important to maintain the route along this contour line, right? Following this ridge line in order to stay within the tree line and keep out of observation of the enemy. This movement will be 520 meters at a grid azimuth of 70 degrees. From checkpoint 3 to checkpoint 4, we'll be approaching the head of this river, moving up along this draw at grid azimuth of 37 degrees. This should take us around 630 meters. Then from the head of this river, we're going to be following this much larger saddle, much more defined saddle as we can see in 3D, between these two hills across to checkpoint 5, which at the top of the hill 521 speed, 580 meters at a grid azimuth of 129 degrees. Then at checkpoint 5, key to understand is as we move in close proximity to where we expect the enemy to be along this road, heading down 89th Easton, we're moving into traveling overwatch. It's possible that we have more information on our abilities, more information on our position that can lead us to directing their attention over here, directing fires over here. So, to protect ourselves, we're going to be traveling overwatch in a squad line fire team wedge for 450 meters, dead directing to the ORP at a grid azimuth of 88 degrees. That'll include the primary route and over to the alternate route.
I would now be briefing to you the secondary route plan. Starting at the 6 o'clock in our patrol base, SP, to checkpoint 1, we're going to be traveling, descending through dense vegetation to 75 meters before our LDA. This is going to be 320 meters at a grid bearing of 79 degrees. Our observations in fields of fire are going to be limited due to dense vegetation, which at the same time means we have good cover. Enemy contact is unlikely. Our formation and order of movement is still going to be the same. We're going to be traveling in a squad column fire team wedge with our order of movement first squad HQ1, second squad HQ2, followed by third squad. From checkpoint 1 to checkpoint 11, we're going to be conducting an LDA across this road right here. We're going to handrail the road within the tree line after, but the problem with this is our observation fields of fire. We have lighter vegetation due to the road, and then also once we get over to this tree line, which I'll explain in a second, and that means our cover is also going to be less. Enemy contact is possible, so we're going to be in traveling overwatch and squad column fire team wedge. Going back to what I was saying before, we're going to stay within this tree line as long as we can. From this tree line out here, we're going to shoot straight across to the next tree line. This is again where our cover is going to be not as good due to lighter vegetation. Inside this tree line, this is going to be checkpoint 11. From checkpoint 11 to checkpoint 12, we're going to be traveling 100 meters at a grid bearing of 143 degrees. Our observations and field of fire are limited to the road. This is an unrestricted avenue of approach due to the LDA crossing. No obstacles, no key terrain along here still, and our cover is limited to none. So, enemy contact is still possible, which means we'll still be traveling in Overwatch and Squad Column Fire Team Wedge. Once we get to checkpoint 12, all the way over to checkpoint 13, which is here, 12 to 13, we're going to be ascending through dense vegetation up a spur using terrain association to guide us. So in the 3D model, we can see from right here, there's a spur going along here. We're going to be traveling along that for 950 meters at a grid bearing of 57 degrees. Our observations fields of fire are limited due to the dense vegetation, which at the same time provides us with good cover. Downhill approach is restricted, no key terrain, no obstacles, enemy contact is unlikely, so we're going to be changing into traveling in the same formation of squad, column, fire team wedge. From checkpoint 13 to our ORP, you see there's quite some elevation right there. We're going to be dead reckoning. And so this is going to be 500 meters at the grid bearing of 80 degrees. Our observations and fields of fire are limited due to dense vegetation, which also means we have good cover still. Our avenue of approach is still restricted. Enemy contact is possible. So for this, we're going to be traveling in Overwatch in a squad line fire team wedge as we approach closer to our ORP and our kill zone, which is assumably where the enemy will be coming from. And this includes the secondary route. So platoon, this concludes our brief, pending any further questions.